Hey everybody, my name is Brainbean, and today I'm joined by Ben Walters, Community Manager at Visionary Realms. Now, of course, Visionary Realms is the studio behind Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and today Ben has agreed to come on and do a little Q&A about the game's development. How are you doing today, Ben? Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Good, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. So, just about everybody that's been following the game obviously knows who you are, but just in case there's some watching that don't, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role here at VR.
So, my name, as you said, is Ben Kilsin Walters. I am the Community and Web Manager here at Visionary Realms for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen.
So, keeping in mind the focus on social-based play, can you explain the importance of having a strong sense of community in Pantheon?
I can, man. I honestly think that communities make or break a game. Like, if you've got you can have the best MMO in the world, and if you don't have a strong, supportive community to back that, then it's not going to last. Like, the game isn't going to succeed beyond any expectations you're going to have. If you've got toxicity or, negativity going on in within the community, then I think it makes it very hard for a company to overcome that and to push forward. So I think supporting the community is almost as important as supporting your own game, which is something that I strongly believe in. So that's the motto I kind of carry forward with Visionary Realms anyway, and I know the team's fully behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with an MMO game where it's largely community-based, the way that everything works, it's very good that you guys understand the importance of that, and it seems you're doing a fantastic job with maintaining community engagement. And I think Pantheon, it's not even out yet and it's in early development, but I think we have one of the best communities right now out there.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Man. Very mature, very supportive.
One of the things that really impressed me about VR is that on all the various social media outlets, be it Twitter, Facebook, or Reddit, VR has been able to maintain a high level of community engagement. Now, of course, this is largely because of your efforts, but can you explain it's important to you to maintain a presence and why you maintain such a high level of fan engagement?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. I can't speak to the whole team, but it's not just me, but I do a lot of the forum work and a lot of the social media work. But we have obviously Jason on Twitter. We have Som that helps out with social media, and Ben, as you guys all know, who is our director of communications. So there's a solid team of four, and we've got great strengths, between us. When we all work together, we can get a lot done. But I came from the community, so I think I have a slight advantage when it comes to the CM role, because I was one of you. Like, I know how it feels. I know what information you crave. I know why you crave it. And it makes it easy for me to keep a finger on the pulse. Like, I can relate to posts in the forums and things that people say across all the platforms. When they're, even when they're having a rant about something, I know why. Like, I feel it too. The same things make me angry, and I don't know, it's easy to relate, I suppose. And I think that gives me a slight edge, because I know when the community gets restless, and I know that, when I need to go to the team to get information, and I know what information to get to be able to keep the community happy, keep them, fed with the right information to keep them going.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, the Facebook post the other day about cash shops. It was funny to see how that kind of blew up on Facebook there. It was funny.
It took a turn. I thought that'd be good, but the reason, there's a few things in the industry at the moment going on with other games that are a little bit kind of questionable, and I know that the community at large really is against that kind of thing, and people know our stance with the cash shops, and that we made it very clear. We closed our own shop down, and so but I think it's really important to talk about things like this, like even just raising the question. And I think it's like trying to, from me as a community manager, trying to give you guys a voice. So if I ask it in an official capacity across multiple platforms, then the world gets to see your answers. So I don't think, there was a few people that took it as if that I was asking this question that they thought we were going to put one in, but you can't really help people taking things differently, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely very good though that you guys understand that, we can ask these questions, and I would rather, you guys bring up something that maybe the fans aren't particularly happy about or maybe don't want in the game, but the fact that you're at least giving everybody a chance to put their voice in and their opinion, and that we can trust that you're actually taking it to heart and using that towards the decision later on, is something that I think speaks volumes as far as your status on development for the game and how much you value the community's input. So I'll take questions like that all day long, as long as I know that the input's being taken to heart. So that's great.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about putting a disclaimer in as I posted it, but I thought, that wouldn't get the same result. So I wanted the raw passion and the real feelings to come through, which it did. So
yeah, absolutely. So class interdependence is something that's been somewhat lost in MMOs today. What are the advantages of giving classes back their identities, and what are the benefits of having to rely on others to complete content?
So I think it's got a lot to do with social interaction, helping to build a strong community as well. I think having to rely on other people. Like a lot of the games these days, you just run around soloing. You can solo from like level 1 when you're in rags to max level with epics, and I don't really agree with that type of progression in massive multiplayer online games. So I think it's all about teamwork. Like in the good old days, we used to work hard. We used to, if you spend 10-15 minutes trying to find a group, when you did find one, it was fantastic. I said that the new friends you would make, people you would have to rely on within your groups, and I think it plays a big part in growing the community and building that kind of trust and respect within the community. So I think it's important, and so that kind of plays into the class independence. Interdependence is not allowing everyone to do everything. It makes your class special. Like you've got a certain role to perform. You're going to be needed and required in groups for that specific role. And it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at that role, you're going to fit in. You're going to be needed. You're going to be required. And it's up to you to how you play your class and how you interact and socialize with others.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you raise an interesting point there too, with having to wait 10 to 15 minutes to get the group. I think it makes that group that much more valuable to you as the player, because if you can just queue up and jump into that group, you just drop out as soon as you finished whatever you wanted to do. No big deal. You can get another one. But when it takes 10 or 15 minutes, you're kind of like, oh, guys, this group is so good. How long does everybody have left? That's one of the common questions that comes up in a group, has everybody got a couple more hours? I want to get a few levels tonight. Or, it means that much more to you. So you kind of invest in that group, and it makes you make those creations and relationships that much more. So
I agree.
It's fantastic.
Like newer games these days too, you can be invited to a group and without even so much as a hi, and then play for like 30 minutes, do a dungeon, kill a boss, and then just get kicked from group, or the group just disbands on you without even a word being said, and you don't really feel that sense of socialization or bond or achievement really, because all you did, it felt like you feel dirty. You've just been used. You've just used others. You've got what you wanted, and you're out of there. So,
yeah, absolutely.
We want to bring back that feeling of being needed and wanted and socializing. So I think it's important.
Absolutely. I think everybody that's waiting the game anxiously would agree that they're all waiting to be thrown into those groups as well. We're all hungry for it. So it's already been stated that players can expect challenging content in Pantheon, and many of today's games, not just MMOs, lack a sense of difficulty. Often these games opt for hand-holding or spoon-feeding rather than encouraging exploration and requiring players to think for themselves. So what are the benefits of putting players in more difficult situations, and what do you expect that the player experience will be as a result?
That's a good one. I think like instant gratification, and those two words get thrown around a lot on gaming forums, but I think instant gratification works well for the more casual or free to play kind of games, because it provides like fast results for people who don't have that kind of time to or effort to spend. So you can speed it up even more by purchasing things in cash shops, as we were discussing before. Items for advantages and bonuses, and I know a lot of our community is against that. A good 80 to 90% is against that, and I'm one of those people. But we're not creating a game like that. So Pantheon, you'll need to put a bit of effort and time into achieving something. We're not going to make it so you need to sit down and invest 4 to 8 hours of your life each day to give up your family to try to run a dungeon.
Yeah.
There will be some people that do that, and that's absolutely fine. But I think Brad was saying it was you can achieve in an hour or two of playtime. It's still something special. You can still progress your character. You can still have fun. You can still lose yourself in immersion. But you're not going to need to put in hour after hour after hour. There will be people that do put in that time, and will obviously succeed a little bit faster and progress a little bit faster than other people, which that's fine if they've got that time to do that. But we want people to know that if you've only got an hour or so to spare, you will still get to that same point in time, just a little bit slower. So I think that's important, that people who don't have the time, that have families, small families, or grown-up families, that you can still put in an hour or two each night, still have fun with your friends, your guilds, still achieve the same things, absolutely, but it'll just take you a little bit longer to get to the same place.
Yeah, I think
but
that's,
at least,
I think that's a good point. You can still have difficult content, and it doesn't mean that the length of time you need to play needs to be any longer. It just means that when you play for that hour or two, you just need to be on your game and rely on your friends and get things done.
Well, that's it, exactly. But no, I think it's good.
So I'm gonna be selfish and ask a question that's a little more personal for me. One of the most important things for me personally in an MMO is a sense of immersion, and it's very important for me to feel like I'm in a believable, living, breathing world. So many of the new systems being introduced in Pantheon make perfect sense in terms of creating a more immersive experience. How important is immersion to VR? And for people that may be unfamiliar with the Pantheon difference or game tenets, explain what will make Pantheon stand out in terms of being a more immersive MMORPG.
Again, that's a good question, man. And we at VR strongly think that immersion is key. It's vital for a game like Pantheon to succeed. And like if we had a little joke too in one of our meetings, like if the players aren't losing themselves in our game and looking up at the clock and thinking, 3-4 hours have passed, or 2 hours have passed, or I'm late for work, I'm late for bed, or whatever, I think then we're failed. I think we want people, losing themselves in that immersion. And when you play a good game or read a good book or something and you look up and time is just flowing past because you've lost yourself in that world or in that story. Yeah. And I think that's key. I think that's that's something that we're trying to achieve. And I know Brad's spoken a lot about that as well, and Chris. I think the creative team, it's one of their key aspects, I think, to get you, to suck you in, to draw you in. Justin with our lore. I think it's massive. VR's right behind that, and I think we're already getting there. I think myself being able to log in and get some testing done with the team for specific zones, or even just when I'm grabbing screenshots, like all those screenshots I post on every Thursday for the CM content is taken by me in game, no filters, no nothing. Like I just run around, try to find something nice that I think looks good, and then I take a high-res screenshot of it, and I lose myself in the game. And there's even without any quests or anything, I'm running around dodging mobs and having a great time. And you stop to stare at trees and rock formations, and you think, I know how hard the team have worked to create things like that. And I think, it all plays a massive part in immersion, which I think is really important.
Absolutely. I think just about anybody that's ever played an MMO at one point in their experience with MMOs has experienced what I always refer to as MMO magic, or that point where you realize that you've been lost in it and you kind of step back and you're like, wow, what just happened? And I think it's fantastic that VR and you guys are taking such a great perspective as understanding that immersion is very, very important. And especially with MMORPGs, because that's what it's all about. You log in to participate in this other world, not necessarily to play a video game. So that's fantastic.
That's it. It's high fantasy. Just want to lose yourself, explore, just be in awe of sunsets and points of interest and things like that. So that's something I think that you guys are going to love.
Absolutely. So many games suffer from the game starts at max level syndrome. Often players feel the need to rush to max level, skipping much of the low-level content. So what will Pantheon offer players during their leveling experience that will shift their focus from speed leveling to enjoying the journey?
Right. So we focus. I know you've heard the team talk about horizontal progression as well. So we're not all about just racing to max level. If people want to do that, they can do that. That's their prerogative. That's fine. They're going to miss a lot of the great stuff and a lot of the experiences and meeting cool people along the way. But people are like that. We can't stop that. We don't want to stop that. But we hope that, with the content that we do create, it's going to be, immersive enough and good enough to try to catch a few of those people and slow them down to think, hey, wait, this is awesome. I don't want to speed past this, and get them kind of trapped in that immersive journey from level 1 to whatever the max level will be. But we think that filling, 1 to max level with that kind of content and multiple paths with that content is key. So having many meaningful systems and mechanics and features, as we can, but ultimately it comes down to like the players. If we don't want to tell you how to play or how fast to level, but hopefully we can create that kind of world and that immersion to capture you, to make you want to slow down and enjoy it yourself. So I think it is, filling the game from 1 to max level with that meaningful content instead of just stockpiling at the end. Is key. If you put the carrot right at the end, then everyone's going to race to go get it.
Yeah.
If you spread lots of carrots out across the entire world, across lots of different levels, then people are going to stop to graze and enjoy as they progress and enjoy the game. And I think that's really important for a game like Pantheon.
Yeah, especially, and that goes right back to the having the 1 to 2 hours to play kind of mindset. If the game's full of content from start to finish, you won't necessarily feel the need to rush to max level and feel like, oh, okay, I need to call into work tomorrow. I got stuff I got to get done. So that's fantastic. That's a really good approach. Absolutely. So PvE has long been defined as a setting where players are put against AI-controlled enemy mobs, and Pantheon has an ambitious system to take this concept a step further to make PvE truly player versus environment. Explain the shift in focus from the traditional focus.
Okay, so I got this from Brad. Sent him a few questions in the email so he could, I wanted his voice on this, and I also got Corey and Daniel as well to just, lend their voice and words to some of these questions, because I wanted it to come straight from the devs' mouths. And Brad's big on player versus environment, so he wants to put the PvE back into PvE. He actually wants it to matter. So meaning that PvE will finally mean that the player is versus the environment. Not just NPCs, you're not just beating on orcs or rats and grinding out. You're actually, being immersed in the game. You've got, weather to worry about, climates, our climate system, many other things. So this comes from, tabletop and traditional role-playing games where they're contending against the dungeon or region that they're exploring. Like detecting traps and noticing something odd about their surroundings. So I think little things like that, those little details, go hand in hand with the systems themselves to create that feeling of being immersed in the whole world, like the environment, the weather, plus the mobs as well, not just grinding out being orcs with sharp sticks.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect too. It goes hand in hand with creating an immersive environment. All these things in games, where you're in a dungeon or you're outside and it's raining or it's dark. These things should affect the way that you play the game, but in most games, it really doesn't affect how you would approach something too much. Hey guys, well that's it for part 1. You can click on my face at any time to jump over and watch part 2, and I highly encourage you to watch all 3 parts because I do get a lot of really good information out of Kilsin that I guarantee you're going to want to know. Please be sure to like this video before you jump over to the next one. It really helps out a lot. And just to explain myself a little bit, the reason I chose to chop this up into 3 20-minute videos versus 1 hour-long video is I think it's just a little bit easier to digest, and it's a lot easier than just watching one really long hour-long video. So with that, I'll see you guys in part 2.